You know that feeling? When you think you've kind of grasped something, but then whoosh, you realize there's this whole other level, like some timeless wisdom just waiting underneath.
Mm-hmm. Happens all the time.
Well, today we're diving into exactly that kind of wisdom. We're exploring an ancient Buddhist text, a sutta called the Mahādukkhakkhandhasuttaṃ. It gets right into some really fundamental human stuff.
It really does. Foundational experience.
So picture this. We're back in ancient Savatthi, a key place where the Buddha taught. We're following some Buddhist monks doing their morning rounds for alms.
Right.
And they bump into some other wanderers, different spiritual folks. And what happens next? Well, it sets up this really profound teaching.
A crucial encounter.
Yeah. Our mission today, to unpack the Buddha's specific framework, this idea of gratification, danger, and escape, and how it applies to three core things: sensual pleasures, material form, and feelings.
The big three in this context.
Okay, so these monks, right, they're on their alms round, bit of time to kill before collecting food. They decide, hey, let's check out that camp of other wanderers.
Just dropping by.
They exchange greetings, sit down, and then, bam, the wanderers hit them with a challenge.
Mm-hmm. Laid it out there.
They basically said, look, we hear ascetic Gautama the Buddha talks about understanding sensual pleasures, form, feelings. Hey, we do too, so what's the big deal? What's the actual difference between his teaching and ours?
A fair question on the surface.
Totally. And the monks, wisely, they didn't agree or disagree. They just got up, said, we'll get back to you, basically, and went straight to the data for the definitive word.
Which is really significant, isn't it? That question highlights a key point. It's not just claiming you understand something.
Right.
It's about the depth, the method, the completeness of that understanding. And the Buddha's answer just blows the doors off a simple, yeah, we get it kind of approach.
So what did he say?
Well, when the monks told him what happened, the Buddha said, okay, next time this happens, turn it back on them. Ask them to explain their understanding of gratification, danger, and escape for those three things.
Put them on the spot.
Exactly. Challenge their depth. And then came the really striking part. The Buddha basically said, look, in all the realms, gods, humans, whatever, no one can fully lay out these distinctions.
No one.
No one. Except a Tathagata, a Buddha, or a disciple who's really learned it directly from a Tathagata. That's how unique and deep this understanding is supposed to be.
Wow. Okay. That is a strong claim. It really sets his framework apart. So let's get into it. What is this gratification, danger, escape thing, and how does it apply? Starting with sensual pleasures, or kama.
Right. Okay.
The text defines these as, the five senses: sight, sound, smells, tastes, touch. But specifically the ones that are agreeable, pleasant, desirable. The ones that stir up lust, basically.
The good stuff, supposedly.
Yeah. So first step. What's the gratification, the assāda? The text says it's pretty straightforward. It's the pleasure and happiness you get when you encounter these nice sense objects, that immediate feeling of enjoyment.
That immediate hit, exactly. The pleasure you get right away. Simple enough, but then...
Then comes the danger, the ādīnava.
And, oh boy, does the text go into detail here. This isn't just, be careful, things can go wrong. It digs into the suffering baked into the pursuit itself.
How so?
Well, first, there's just the sheer effort involved in getting the stuff needed for sensual pleasure, earning a living, farming, trading, being a soldier, whatever, enduring harsh conditions, cold, heat, bugs, hunger, thirst, all driven by wanting those pleasures. That's suffering right there.
Okay, the struggle. Makes sense.
Then what if you fail? If your efforts to get well for these pleasures fall flat? The text talks about despair, lamenting, crying, beating your chest.
Real mental anguish.
The pain of not getting what you want. Exactly.
Yeah.
But even if you do succeed, you're not free. Now you've got the burden of protecting what you gained. Worrying about kings taking it, thieves stealing it, fires, floods, even unpleasant relatives wanting it.
Constant anxiety.
Right. And the grief, if you lose it anyway, huge. Then it escalates. Interpersonal stuff. Sensual desires cause fights. Families argue, parents and kids, brothers and sisters. Friends fall out.
Over stuff?
Over stuff, over desires. It broadens out conflict between social groups, leading to physical violence, hands, stones, sticks, weapons, people getting hurt, even killed.
It can spiral quickly.
And it keeps going. The text talks about actual war, people taking up arms, fighting, getting shot with arrows, stabbed with spears, injury, death. All stemming from these desires.
Wow, it connects it all the way up to warfare.
It does. And then it goes to the really dark side. Crime. People breaking into houses, stealing, robbery, adultery. All driven by sensual craving.
And the consequences.
The text is incredibly graphic here. It lists these horrific, ancient punishments inflicted by rulers. Flogging, cutting off hands, feet, ears, noses. Truly brutal torture methods with, frankly, terrifying names like shell-shaved head or Rahu's mouth or being smeared with burning oil.
Okay, that's intense, really vivid.
It's meant to be. It shows the absolute extreme danger, the potential consequences of letting sensual desire run unchecked, and finally the ultimate danger described.
Beyond this life.
Yeah. Unwholesome actions, body, speech, mind, fueled by these desires, leading to rebirth in lower suffering realms after death. It covers all the bases, from daily grind to cosmic consequence.
Okay. That is a truly comprehensive and frankly quite terrifying picture of the dangers. So given all that, what's the way out? What's the escape, the nissaraṇa? Is it just like total denial?
The text frames it quite simply, actually. The escape is the removal and abandonment of lust and desire for them.
Just letting go.
Letting go of the craving, the attachment. Seeing the gratification, yes, but fully understanding the massive potential dangers and therefore detaching from the need for them.
I see. It's not necessarily avoiding the object, but the desire for it.
Precisely. And then the Buddha circles back to his main point. You got to grasp all three, the pleasure, the peril, and the path out. Only then do you really understand it yourself, and only then can you maybe help someone else understand it too.
Right. You need the complete picture. Okay. Let's apply this now to the second category, material form, or rupa. What's the gratification here?
Well, the text gives this very specific, almost poetic example.
Oh, yeah.
It describes a young woman, maybe 15 or 16, perfect beauty, not too tall, not too short, not too thin, fat, dark, or fair. Just like peak human beauty. The gratification is simply the pleasure and happiness that arises from seeing or contemplating that beauty.
Okay, so appreciation of form of beauty.
Exactly. But then, connecting to the bigger framework, the text immediately flips to the danger, the ādīnava. And it does it by sticking with that same woman.
What happens to her?
It asks you to imagine seeing her much later, old, 80, 90, 100, bent over, shaky, sick, youth gone, teeth broken, gray hair or bald, wrinkled, spotted skin. That initial perfect beauty vanished. The danger, the impermanence, is right there, manifest.
The ravages of time.
Yes, and it continues. Imagine her severely ill, suffering, lying in her own waste, needing other people to lift her, turn her over. Again, where's that beauty now? Gone, replaced by illness and dependence.
Another stark image.
And then it goes to the ultimate end, the charnel ground imagery. A body discarded after death.
Oh, here we go again.
Yeah, it's unflinching. Describes the corpse swelling, turning colors, festering after a few days, then being eaten. Crows, vultures, dogs, jackals, worms.
Oh, okay.
Then the process of decay down to the skeleton. First, bones with some flesh and blood and sinews still attached, then just bones held by sinews. Then bare bones, disconnected, scattered everywhere. It even lists some hand bones, foot bones, leg bones, skull.
Incredibly detailed.
It really is. And it doesn't stop there. The bones turning white like shells, then maybe after a year, just a pile of them, and finally rotting, crumbling into dust, the complete dissolution of form.
That's memorable, to say the least. It really hammers home the impermanence point. But like, we have bodies, we interact with the material world. Is it saying form itself is bad? What's the escape here?
Again, the nissaraṇa, the escape, is framed similarly. It's the removal and abandonment of lust and desire for material form.
So attachment again.
Exactly. It's not saying form is inherently evil, but our clinging to it, our desire for it to be permanent when it clearly isn't, that's the source of suffering. Understanding its temporary nature is key.
So like with pleasures, you need the full view. The initial appeal, the inevitable decay or change, and the release through detachment.
That's the principle. Seeing all three parts. Gratification, danger, escape. That's real insight, according to this teaching.
Okay, now the third one. Feelings, Vedana. You mentioned this offers a different angle, especially on gratification. What's that about?
Yeah, this is where it takes a fascinating turn. For feelings, the text says the supreme gratification isn't from external things at all.
No. Where then?
It's found internally. In the bliss cultivated through meditation states, the jhanas, these are called non-afflictive feelings.
Non-afflictive, meaning?
Meaning they don't have the same kind of inherent downsides and dependencies as feelings derived from external sense objects or forms. It's a radical shift, really. Instead of chasing pleasure out there,
You cultivate it in here.
exactly. The Buddha is pointing toward a self-sufficient internal source of profound well-being, a joy that isn't dependent on getting that next thing.
Interesting. Can you give examples? What are these jhana states like?
Sure. The text describes four main ones. First jhana, Joy and pleasure born from being secluded from sensual desires and unwholesome thoughts, but still having some mental activity like thinking and examining.
Okay.
Second jhana, the thinking fades. There's still joy and pleasure, but now it arises from concentration, a unified mind, internal confidence.
Deep.
Third jhana, the intense joy fades, replaced by a more subtle pleasure experience with the body, alongside equanimity and mindfulness. You're calm, aware, and feel a gentle bodily ease.
Even more subtle.
And the fourth jhana, beyond pleasure and pain altogether, a state of pure equanimity and mindfulness, completely purified, where pleasant and unpleasant feelings have ceased.
Wow. So that's the peak gratification for feelings. Very different.
Very different. It highlights an internal path to satisfaction.
Okay, then what's the danger of feelings? If the gratification can be this profound internal state, what's the catch? It can't be external decay like with form.
Right, it's a different kind of danger. The ādīnava here is inherent to feelings themselves. It's simply this. All feelings, even the blissful jhana states, are impermanent.
Impermanence again.
That's the core danger. They arise, they exist for a while, they cease, they are subject to change. Because they change, because they don't last, they are ultimately unsatisfactory if you cling to them. That's the suffering aspect.
So the danger isn't outside harm, it's their very nature.
Precisely. It's an intrinsic characteristic. Clinging to a pleasant feeling leads to suffering when it fades. Resisting an unpleasant feeling causes distress. Even neutral feelings are unstable. The fact that they're constantly in flux is the danger if we're attached.
Got it. And the escape? The nissaraṇa from feelings? How do you escape something so fundamental and intrinsic?
Well, how do you think, based on the pattern?
Letting go of the lust and desire for them. Detachment.
Bingo. The escape is, again, the removal and abandonment of lust and desire for feelings. It's about experiencing them, understanding them, but not clinging, not identifying with them, not demanding they stay or go away, seeing their transient nature clearly.
Okay, so wrapping this up, we've looked at sensual pleasures, material form, and feelings. And for each one, the Buddha applied this really consistent framework: gratification, danger, escape. It's quite a lens to view experience through.
It really is. And that final point the Buddha makes again and again for each category is so important. Only those who truly get all three aspects, the good, the bad, and the way out for each of these areas,
Can really claim to understand them.
exactly. And only then can they potentially guide others effectively. It's about that holistic, comprehensive view, not just grabbing onto the pleasant parts or being scared by the unpleasant part.
Seeing the whole cycle.
Seeing the whole cycle. And this ancient wisdom from the Mahādukkhakkhandhasuttaṃ, it's really inviting us, even today, to look beyond just the immediate appeal of things, to understand the full picture of our experiences.
It's not anti-pleasure, then.
Not necessarily. It's about gaining a clear-eyed, complete perspective, understanding where lasting satisfaction truly lies, versus temporary fixes that might have hidden costs. It's about being well-informed about our own minds and experiences.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now? This has been, well, quite a deep dive, exploring how this ancient framework can really shed light on our desires, our perceptions, the whole shebang.
Yeah, and the takeaway, I think, is that real understanding, true knowledge, isn't just about chasing what feels good. It's about seeing the whole process, the allure, yes, but also the potential downsides, the impermanence, and finding that path to genuine freedom, to peace.
So here's something for you to chew on. If real lasting satisfaction comes from understanding the impermanence and the potential pitfalls woven into all our experiences, good, bad, neutral, half-bad, how might actually applying that lens day to day change your own relationship with desire?